Welcome to Moving Mountains, a podcast where we get to celebrate together the wins that different churches and the church as a whole have experienced. I'm Pam Flannery, and each month I get the amazing opportunity to talk with church leaders from all over the country, hearing the innovative and creative ways they're reaching their communities through the struggles and the wins in their ministry. Our hope is that you'll leave each episode with fresh ideas for your ministry, as well as the tools to put that plan into action so that you can impact your community further. Let's move mountains. Hi, my name is Pam Flannery. I lead our customer communities at Pushpay. I want to thank our audience for joining us. You're in for a real treat, especially if you're curious about how technology can have a profound impact on your church. Today, I have the honor of introducing you to Jordan Page, who's the IT director at Higher Dimension Church in Houston, Texas. Jordan, welcome. It is so great to have you and have you share with us today. Please tell our audience about yourself and your journey into the IT world at Higher Dimension.
Hi, Pam. Like you said, my name is Jordan Page. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for this opportunity just to come and not just share about myself, but share about my walk with Christ, my journey to the IT world, and also being IT director here at HD. First off, I was born and raised in Monroe, Louisiana. Monroe is a great city, great town. It's not as big as Houston, of course. It's about 50,000 people, I believe. And I was born in the 90s. So early tech age, early internet age. And I was that child that grew up utilizing technology to solve a lot of problems, of course, but also solving technology problems for my family, solving technology problems for my friends. I was that kid that they had an issue, they would, come to me. So that's the reason why I, kind of gravitated towards technology as far as my learning in school, as far as making sure that I could learn as much as I possibly could about tech. It was a small church growing up for me, small church life, small town life. And when I got older, I started to learn that my walk with Christ didn't really have its own personal relationship for me. I feel like I was kind of depending on others for their prayers, depending on others for their knowledge. And of course, I also worked in corporate America. And in 2016, I actually transitioned to Houston, Texas. I worked for Verizon Wireless in sales. So it was a lot of tech support, a lot of customer service skills as well. But I also visited HD, Higher Dimension, when I first moved out here. And I could tell that there was something different about the ministry. There was a family feel. There was also just that they were welcoming with technology. They were open to utilizing technology to share the gospel. And that resonated with me. So my relationship with Christ began to get cultivated. It was taken to new heights. And also I learned my purpose. I learned that it was up to me to love God, to know God, and to also make him known. And specifically so, making him known through technology. So I began volunteering in the production area. That eventually moved over to the mobile app and then the website. And as I grew in my knowledge of, just the mobile app and the website, that spurred within me the urge to attend school for it. So I attended Bethel School of Technology through Bethel Church in Redding, California. And I was able to graduate with my certification in full stack development. So that added new skills to my toolbox, but also instilled within me the faith that I needed to leave corporate America. So I went from being a volunteer at Higher Dimension to a full-time staff member in the fall of 2020.
So great to hear. Yeah, I forgot you mentioned you went to Bethel. They have a great technology school there, everything between worship and technology. You said something that when you came to Higher Dimension, it felt like family. And I have to say that recently, a few of us from our marketing team had the wonderful opportunity of meeting you and your amazing pastors and leaders there. And we instantly felt like we were part of your family. It was just such a connection. I didn't want to leave. And I know that those that were with me felt the same way. I want to share with our audience something special that you did, just a special touch that you gave. So we walked into the sanctuary after we had met and had lunch together and just got to know your wonderful staff and pastors and leaders. And when we walked in there on the big screen, it said welcome, and it had Pushpay logo. And to us, it just so touched our hearts because that display of hospitality and technology was a delightful experience, and it really made us feel welcome. I know that you use technology, Jordan, in so many ways at Higher Dimension. Can you share how and why you believe technology in the church is so valuable? You said something when we met. You said that you wanted to bridge the gap between technology and the church. And I'd love for you to share with all of us how you do that on a day-to-day basis.
I just want to say that when we first met in person, Pam, it was like I had already known you for years, even though we just met virtually last, I believe, October. So it was awesome to have you in person when you guys came out to visit Houston. But here at HD, we fully embrace tech. From utilizing iPads to check in our volunteers and check in our congregation when they come to service. We utilize it from mobile giving, the fact that we utilize the Pushpay app and also our own mobile app through Pushpay called the Church app. It just allows us to, touch our congregation and touch our members more intentionally, because we like to be high tech. We also like to be high touch as well. And so just the technology that Pushpay, grants us is what we utilize on a daily basis. From QR codes, we're opening back up our children's church in April for Easter. And so we want people to be able to sign up their children and also sign up to volunteer. So something we did was we actually printed out a QR code and put it on a piece of paper and placed it in each seat in the congregation. Also had it posted for our online members as well on the website and on the app. And it allows them to go to a quick form, allows them to fill it out if they want to volunteer, if they want to fill out to register pre-register their children as well. We also utilize Church Community Builder as our church management database. And it's an awesome tool. We use it, like say, for check-in, and we use it for different events. We have small groups. So we recently had a Connect Group Leaders event. It was a picnic last Saturday, and we utilized it for events to notify them through text messaging, through email, through mail merges. We also use the groups feature where we, group together our small groups, let people sign up. And it's just a way to just cultivate their relationship and cultivate just that family feel like I spoke about earlier, just as we go higher and higher in worship and go higher and deeper in our relationship with Christ.
That's wonderful. You just mentioned something. Okay, so a lot of churches use check-in for children's ministry, but you said you have people in your congregation, adults, use it. How does that work? How do you utilize check-in that way?
So we know that data is the new thing, right? Data is king. So in order for us to, monitor our data, we allow our congregation to either check in person when they come in right there at our iPad station, at our guest services stations, or they can check in directly from our mobile app using the pre-checks, the pre-check service. So when they come in, if they pre-check, we just scan the barcode, boom, they're in. Or if they haven't pre-checked, then they can connect with our guest services team and our welcome team, and we check them in directly from the mobile app. So it just allows us to track, who's coming to service, be able to touch them differently, be able to connect with them differently. Say, hey, we saw your service on Sunday. Thanks for coming. This is just in case you missed out on anything. This is what you may have missed.
That's wonderful. And do you track too, like if someone misses a few services, is that a way for you to follow up to say, hey, we missed you? Is there, can we do anything for you?
So that attendance is so many different pieces to it that allows us so many lanes to, as far as our care team, it allows us to go back and, like you said, check if someone may have missed a couple of services, a couple of Sundays. Like our volunteers, we have them on sit a service, right? Sit a Sunday, service Sunday. So if someone, missed a service or missed a Sunday, it allows us to say, hey, check on you, how you're doing. And we actually had a volunteer recently, she contracted COVID, and we hadn't seen her in a while. So we were able to say, hey, so-and-so and so-and-so. I don't want to say their name, I guess.
Right.
I'm sorry. But hey, we missed you. So, hey, where have you been? How are you? I said, I've been out with COVID. I couldn't reach out, but this is where I've been. So that was an awesome tool that the check-in and the data that we're getting from that check-in feature allows us to formulate and just use to, just continue to be high touch.
Yeah. Touch is, it's so valuable to continue that personal relationship with people. And I think sometimes we fall into maybe it's not truth by thinking that technology is going to replace that human connection. And in fact, technology enhances it when we use it correctly. You mentioned the QR code. I know I'm bunny hopping here a little bit, but I visited a church in Colorado Springs just the other day. And one of the pastors that I know, he had pulled out a plastic business card and it had a QR code on it. When anyone scans it just from their phone, they just put their phone over it. It pulled up his profile and it, everything, the groups. It was connected with the Pushpay app, get online giving. It was so phenomenal. I thought, this is so easy. He didn't even have to do anything except pull that card out and put his phone over it. I don't know. I was very impressed. What are some ways that churches could use the QR codes?
What a lot of churches may or may not know about is your mobile phone automatically has a QR scanner directly embedded into the camera on it. There used to be a time, when I was growing up, before QR codes were even big, they didn't have that, right? As I graduated and got older, you have to have a separate app for a QR scanner. So now that is embedded directly into the camera on your phone, that just makes the process much, much easier. So like I said, we use it for forms. We use it for signups. Churches can use it for giving. The fact that if you have Pushpay, you don't have a kiosk. If you don't have a kiosk for someone to actually go up and give, right there directly inside of your foyer, inside of your sanctuary, you can have a QR code with the actual link to giving. And they could scan that QR code and it'll take them directly to their giving page. If you have a landing page for a new sermon series, or if you have a YouTube channel for your messages, if you have, just a multitude of things, there's so many different resources and tools. And I want people to know, like, QR codes, there's no charge for them. And there's so many free resources and tools that you can utilize. There's one great website called Flowcode. I remember when I was looking for a free, QR code website, I learned about Flowcode, utilized them for a while.
Yeah, they're everywhere. And I noticed that even restaurants now, a lot of them don't even have
menus.
They don't have menus. You just scan your QR code. It's so cool. This church too that I visited, I know all of them. So it was great to reconnect with them. But on the back of their chairs, on every other chair, they had QR codes. And one was for a guest connection card. I thought, this is so great because you're sitting there. If you're a guest, you just scan, put your phone up and enter your information. I love that. Then you can do a great follow-up with your new guests. Jordan, you have a thirst for knowledge. I know that about you. And you've mentioned bridging that knowledge gap between technology and the church and things. So I just want to hear about that. Having that gift, it really is a gift. I know that a lot of us want to seek out knowledge, and that's biblical, but you really have a thirst for it. I've noticed that about you in the few times that we've communicated. So share a little bit about that.
It all stems from one of my favorite scriptures. It's Hosea chapter 4, verse 6. It says, "My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee." But the fact that the world is ever changing and it's evolving, and tech is really at the forefront of that right now. If you look at, I believe the top 4 or 5, companies as far as valuation, they're all tech companies, right? But there was a time when the church was actually at the forefront. And it's actually my desire for it to return there. So that scripture, coupled with my purpose in life, is to know God, love God, to make him known, and specifically through tech. That's how I bridge the knowledge gap. I utilize tech to take people from not knowing and not understanding to a place of fully knowing and fully understanding Christ. That's truly the wind in my sails. People are uncomfortable with tech, maybe because they don't understand it fully, or, they just may not know as much as they could about it. So you may know, if you have a tech person in one lane of your life, you automatically think they know everything about tech. So I don't really take that personally. There are some people that may take it personally, but I embrace that. I love it when people reach out to me for questions about anything. And I just love to give people that comfort when it comes to technology, just making them aware of how beneficial technology can be for making their lives easier. I know you said earlier, people may feel like tech is a bad thing, or they may feel like it's a replacement for in-person touch. But I do believe in not replacing, but it's more of a hybrid model, utilizing this resource and tool that God put on this earth for good and not evil. And also taking advantages of the free resources and tools out there. So just learn about anything that you may be interested in or anything that you may be utilizing.
It's great. What was the impactful change that you implemented at Higher Dimension Church where you saw, wow, this really made a difference in people's lives?
Wow, that's a great question, Pam. I know we used to have a different vendor for our mobile app before we switched it over to our church app through Pushpay. And so that change actually made it easier for individuals to sign up for connect groups. That change actually made it easier for individuals to give for their specific campus. So we're a multi-site church. So we have a campus in Katy. We have our online campus. We also have our Houston campus. So when you actually sign up on the mobile app, you actually sign up for your campus. And when you give, it actually goes directly, towards your campus. So that allows you to, not have any hiccups for, am I giving to Houston campus or am I giving to online, but it's actually going to my Katy campus. So, and also just the fact that our children, when they come in, we had to check in to make it easier for the parents to register their children, make it easier for parents to check their children in, also print out the labels to, so we can make sure we know the children's names. There are just so many great tools and resources that we've been able to implement and put in place to make sure that our live stream goes well, to make sure our total experience goes as well as it possibly can be. I know you guys recently acquired Razy, right? It was funny when you guys made that acquisition last summer, we were actually already using Resi, and that made our live stream service a lot better. That made our experience online so much better. Just from, if anything happens, we're able to catch it. If we're able to make sure that everyone sees everything clearly from the frames per second. There's so many different advantages that Resi gave us since I came on as well.
I'm glad you mentioned Resi, because in traveling, when we were in Texas, we stopped, of course, there's many, I think there's about 7 churches. And then my previous trip, I stopped in at a few churches, and they mentioned Resi. They're like, oh, we love Resi. And I go, really? And we had just purchased Resi. So I said, tell me about it. And they just raved. They talked about how there's no glitches and how it provides this excellent online experience and how the customer support is so great. And have you found that to be true as well?
I'm the kind of person that I would love to ask questions after I try to figure it out for myself. But whenever I do have a question for Resi, their tech support team is spot on. They answer very promptly. They have answers to any question I may have. And I also love the control. It's the fact that we can save our sermons on there directly for up to, I believe it's 30 days, maybe longer, but we can save the sermons directly on there. We can stop the stream immediately or have it extended for longer. There are just so many great tools and great advantages to using Resi. I love the service. I'm excited about that partnership between Pushpay, Church Community Builder, and Resi. I can't wait to see what great things come from there, because I believe they just launched a new live stream player. And also you guys added a new plugin for the mobile app. So now I can place directly into my mobile app, the live stream directly. So if somebody wants to watch our service, they can do it directly from the app utilizing Resi. So that's beautiful.
Jordan, what would you say to pastors who may be resistant to technology in their churches, or maybe if they feel too overwhelmed? Like, can I really do this? Or where do I start? What would you say to them?
It goes back to that scripture, Pam, the lack of knowledge. I do believe that that's a reason why they may feel overwhelmed. Though I do believe that may be a reason why, they're having those reservations. If you look at the Bible, Moses had Joshua, Paul had Timothy. So I think pastors that are resistant to technology are in some way, shape, form, or fashion actually resisting the next generation. Younger generations don't carry as much cash or write checks the way previous ones did. Before they even visit a church, they'll search for it online or maybe even via social. Of course, word of mouth still works, but I just don't want pastors and leaders to forsake the next generation of believers because you're not willing to take advantage of a tool. And like you said, you called it a gift that God placed on this earth. Don't let costs scare you or dissuade you either. There are so many free things and free ways that you can use to increase your engagement. One thing I can attest to is Google. You can create a Google business account to manage your church's profile. The fact that you can add photos or allow anyone to send you a message and ask you questions directly, leave a review. If you do a great job, those 5-star reviews, that's something I manage for our church. Every time someone leaves a 5-star review, I'm like, yes. Of course we want to do a great job. We want to, have a great experience. And if it's not a good review, feedback is our juice. We desire feedback. We want feedback. So that's another way that you can, use to drive engagement.
Do you ever get any negative feedback where you look at that and say, wow, this is an area we kind of were blindsided in, and this is valuable information. We're going to make changes. Has that ever happened?
Yeah. So I believe it was before we actually started utilizing the donor development feature that Pushpay had. where, we had someone that missed the tithing statement. So you started to use the donor development tool where, hey, we apologize to them. We informed them like, hey, we were making some changes to how we send out our tithing statements for those tax statements for the end of year giving. So that was definitely something that we were blindsided by, but only because we knew that we were making those changes and we were going to be making some adjustments to how we sent out those end of year statements.
Well, is there anything else, if you were to say you're sitting down with pastors and leaders right now and, you're connecting with them and there's one thing that you want them to take away from all the wisdom, because I know you have so much, what would you say to them? What would be something you'd really want them to walk away with that would make a profound difference in their life?
I would just let them know that we don't know everything. We're put on this earth because we need the Lord, and he places other people on this earth to help provide those needs as well. And the need for technology isn't something to be afraid of. It's actually something to be embraced. And if you don't have anyone in your staff, if you haven't identified someone inside of your congregation just yet to fill that need, then don't be afraid to ask for help outside of your organization. Don't be afraid to ask for help outside of your church. There are so many ministries out there that are so open and willingly giving away content for free that you can just pull from and utilize as your own. And I'm here. I'll give you my contact information. I'm very open to provide any type of assist that you may need, but don't be afraid to ask for help, and don't let the lack of knowledge destroy you or your ministry because you're not open to embrace the technology.
You may get inundated with a lot of people reaching out to you, but do you want to give maybe your email, or would that be too overwhelming?
Oh, no, not at all. So my email that you can utilize right now is going to be Jordan, Jordan, Page, Page, 23 at yahoo.com.
Great. You may get inundated.
I love those types of requests because the best answer that someone can ever give is, I don't know. Because if someone asks you a question and if you don't know, hopefully you're open to learning. Hopefully you're learning to receiving that information because there's someone out there that does know. And if not, hey, we can partner together and we'll figure it out together. I'm perfectly fine with walking along anyone that may need help with knowing, because he wants us to know him.
That's good. We're all one body. And to be able to take our strengths and our gifts and our passions and combine those regardless of what church we go to, right? Pulling down the walls of churches been my heart for years. I love to see when churches of all denominations and backgrounds, and doesn't matter. And I do want to say this about your church, because I don't know that any of our listeners know this. It's not that Jordan is in this very affluent church that has all these resources and all this money. Jordan, tell us a little bit. And I know you probably didn't expect me to ask this, but tell us a little bit about your area. When you guys shared with us that it is some of the highest human trafficking in the country, and just a little bit about the impact, you guys are making such a huge impact, feeding people that are hungry, providing, trying to get people out of human trafficking. Can you just share a little bit about the community that you're part of there so that our listeners can hear that? It just touched my heart. I literally had tears in my eyes when we left your church.
Yeah, Pam. It's like you said, like our staff isn't large. We have a small staff. So it's like you said, it's not like our church is one of the mega churches out here in the world, right? But like you said, our community is one of the more impoverished communities of the city of Houston. But I truly believe that we're planning here to make a difference. Like you said, we do have a partnership with the Houston Food Bank. So the first Saturday of every month, we partner with them to provide meals to the community so that we receive thousands upon thousands of pounds of food every first Saturday of the month. And we feed hundreds of families. When COVID first started to run rampant, when testing was scarce, we were able to offer testing to the community so that everyone could know their status and make sure that they weren't spreading the virus. When the vaccine, was scarce and people needed the vaccine, we were able to schedule vaccines. We also partnered with with blood drives. We make sure that if anyone wants to donate blood, make sure that the blood centers here in the area can get the adequate amount of blood that they need. But also, like you said, there is a huge need for help with the human trafficking in the area as well. It's nationally known. A street called Bissonnette called the Track, where if you drive up and down it, you will see sex workers. So we don't have a particular ministry for ourselves, but we do, align ourselves with other nonprofits and other places that have a ministry for it. So there's one partnership called The Landing. We partner with them Friday nights and Saturday nights, where their team volunteers, they come out and they offer hot chocolate, they offer prayer, they offer snacks to the workers as well. If they want someone to talk to and lean on, have a conversation with, we actually partner with them as well, just so that we can make it, like you said, make an impact on the community, because we're planning here for a reason. And while we're here for such a time as this, we're going to do what we can to just bring one soul. If we can bring one, we know that heaven rejoices when one comes home.
I know we're running out of time, but would you share about the lipstick? I thought that's a practical way, something so simple and yet can make such a profound difference on someone's life. The labels that they put on lipsticks, or that you guys put on lipstick.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. So we do have a station where, like I said, we have the snacks, the coffee, the hot chocolate if it's cold. We have the chairs if they want to sit and pray and talk. But we also have a street team that actually walks up and down the street. And so we have a team of 2 guys and about 3 or 4 young ladies, just to make sure that the women are okay. We have the guys with them as well, because the guys don't talk to the workers, but the women do. And in that conversation, if they have the desire to leave, or they have the urge to leave, then we also have lipstick that we hand them. And on that lipstick, there is a phone number that they can call where they can receive aid and help to get out. You'd be surprised how many people they're in that industry, but they, like I say, they don't want to be there.
Mm-hmm. One of the reasons I think you guys shared was that there's so many people who come from different countries here, and there's a language barrier. And so they're easily sucked into human trafficking because of that language barrier. Do you find that to be true where you are?
Yeah, so our community is predominantly Hispanic. It's an immigrant community where you see the disparity of resources between the other parts of the city and actually this part of the city because of that. So even with the workers, you see that we have to have multilingual individuals speaking and walking with them, just in case they may not, speak the language, whether it be from all parts of the world. Actually, I've seen many nationalities and many parts of the world represented, and we're in need of a lot of help, but we're doing the work. It's a worthwhile work. And the people that are planted here and where we're going, I'm excited for the work that we're doing. I'm excited for where we're going with it, because we're not stopping.
And I love that about you guys. You have such tenacity. Well, another thing that really strikes me with Higher Dimension and your staff there is that you guys really know how to use resources. Like you said, technology, you've used that in ways that goes above and beyond most churches. You know that there's resources that need in just practical ways of connecting. I feel like the strength, correct me if I'm wrong, of Higher Dimension is connecting. You guys connect so well. You make people feel loved. Like I said, we felt like family. When I left, the highest honor I could ever get is, as we left, somebody called me Auntie Pam. I'm like, score. It just made me feel so good. I'm like, I'm Auntie Pam, because it's funny. I'm called that a lot here in Colorado Springs with some of my friends' kids, so you guys feel like family. We love you. We love the work that you're doing there. I really want to encourage our audience to pray for Higher Dimension. You guys really are in the thick of things that most churches will never encounter. They're not in an area that's known for human trafficking, for prostitution. Even you were mentioning in the middle of the day, the poverty there, the immigrants from, like you say, all over the world. And there's such a need there. I'm going to ask personally that those of you that are listening would just stop and take a moment and pray for Higher Dimension Church in Houston, that God would provide all resources and give you guys encouragement and strength and joy. And I know that y'all have it. You're some of the most happiest people I've ever met. I wouldn't even say happy, joyful, because there's a difference. You're joyful. You're in your, you are all in your gifts. And because of that you just radiate the joy, and the Holy Spirit is so obvious in your lives. And so we're thankful for you guys. thankful we got to meet. And I'm going to put a plug in for Jordan too. He is one of our reference partners. And I've never talked about our reference partners before, but we do have something called reference partners. So if anyone who is a church partner is interested in hearing about that, it gives you an opportunity to connect with other church leaders like Jordan has done on a call and just share just kind of what they're doing and answer questions. And it's just great. And it's strictly for, Pushpay and our giving and our church management software for pastors that are looking, that want to make a difference, that want to use technology to further the kingdom. And we can do a great job of that, right?
Most definitely. That's how we met, Pam.
I know. And I'm so forever thankful. I really am. And we'll definitely be out there again because you guys are family to us. So Jordan, I just want to thank you for your time. I know that your schedule is very busy. I want to thank you for your wisdom. For me, you encourage me whenever I speak to you that I need to stay in the learning mode. I need to continue to go in places where I feel like, man, I am so inadequate, or that is not even something that I think I can tackle. But you make me realize that, you know what, I can do that and I need to do that. And it may be at a very simple level that could grow into something more, or maybe it's just to get a little bit of experience. But I'm so thankful for your teachable spirit because it has modeled that to me. And I know others would say the same of you. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I thank you so much for allowing me to come on. We should never stop learning.
No, we should never stop. I really appreciate you. So I hope that you have a wonderful week. And for those of you that are listening, we're going to have some resources. So again, I want to thank you for your time. And if anyone wants to reach out to me as well, my email is pam.flannery, FLANERY @pushpay.com. I'd love to connect you with Jordan and get you the resources that maybe you're looking for to expand your world of technology. So we hope you all have a wonderful week. This has been Pushpay's Moving Mountain podcast, real talk from church leaders about overcoming challenges and growing their ministries. If you'd like to learn more about church staff or any of the features mentioned in our podcast, visit us at pushpay.com. Make sure you subscribe so that you can get notified whenever a new episode comes out. You don't want to miss out on any of these great conversations with amazing people. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.